Guys, and welcome back to Blaze TV. It's Ed Kimberley as always. Stu Cole joins me as always, and our guest on this edition. I think it was the first new signing of the summer for the Coventry Blaze. In forward Grayson Constable. Grayson, thank you so much for jumping on, bud. I know we've been trying to arrange this for a couple of weeks now, and glad to finally nail you down.
Yeah, thanks for having me, fellas. I know it's been tough with the time change, so I appreciate you guys staying up and getting this time.
No, you're all good. You're all good. You're pretty early, but yeah, your work schedule would have kept us up pretty late. And we were just joking before we hit record here that you've got a new one on us. We were saying that when guys have to work in the summer, we've had guys working on the farm, coaching the hockey camps, waiting tables, that kind of thing. Do you want to explain to everyone what it is that you're doing to pass the time this summer?
Yeah, so I work at the city of Lethbridge here in Alberta, Canada, and what we do is we paint sidewalks and stop bars for the city. It's a pretty good gig. Basically, they're paying us to watch paint dry, theoretically. So, no, it's a really good job, and everyone's really nice around here. So it's really good to have some income in the summer and still be able to train and skate after work. So it's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. The time seems to work out pretty well to be able to work out and get a lot of ice in there in the summer as well. But you mentioned Lethbridge in there, and doing the research on you, Lethbridge has just been a big part of your life, I think. And even before you were born, your parents went to University of Lethbridge. They played sports there. You played AAA there. It must hold just a special place in your heart.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a ton of family here, so it made sticking around and not moving away too early for hockey quite easy. Had a lot of friends growing up around here. Just thought it was best for myself to stay here until it theoretically got to a point where I had to leave for junior hockey. But yeah, it was an awesome place to grow up. It's not very big. It's maybe 100,000 population wise now, which is it's decent. But yeah, I mean, it was awesome growing up here. I have no complaints.
Also, how did you kick around when you were a kid, and what's the town like?
We have a lot of farms around us, so it's kind of more so in the prairies, I would say. We're only a couple hours away from the Rockies, which is nice if you want to
Oh,
change of sceneries. But yeah, I mean, I was involved with sports at a young age, pretty much trying out everything, and hockey seemed to stick. So, I found my friend group that felt the same way about the sport, and we grew up together, played hockey in Lethbridge for until I was 18 and had to move out after high school. But yeah, that's basically my background with Lethbridge.
yeah, that actually brings us on to the other choice that you know young guys growing up in Canada have to make at some point if they want to go and try and play some pro hockey or play hockey at the next level. It's do you try and crack, juniors? So in your case, of in the Western League, which would have maybe made sense for you. The Hurricanes have a pretty good WHL outfit, or go down the NCAA route, which you ultimately did do. Do you remember that point in your life and why you decided to go one way rather than the other?
Yeah, actually, it's really big here for kids to want to play in the Western League, and believe me, I was on that boat. I wanted it growing up, but I actually didn't really grow until I was about 17. I hit a big growth spurt, so I was fairly small. Had a couple interests from teams during my draft year, but nothing really ever panned out. I went to a couple camps to try it out, but altogether, I was never picked up by a team. So I figured, you know what, let's go play junior A in Canada, which is another option, which is also very good hockey. Um, and I played 3 years, and then I always kind of knew that I wanted to go to college. My mom's actually a principal, so she was kind of nagging me to, get some schooling out of this at some point. So it ended up working out really well. I mean, the Western League it's a great option, but for kids that want to, maybe get an education in the States or play hockey in the States, I think junior A is an awesome call in Canada for sure.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I think the more that we do this, the more that we get guys coming on. I mean, I think the one good thing that COVID did made us realize just how easy it is to do interviews like this, is that you get to learn more and more about, junior hockey across Canada. It's not just, oh, the Ontario League, oh, the Western League, oh, the Cube. You get to learn about the British Columbia League. You get to learn about the Alberta Junior League, and you got to have a little bit of experience of both, which is a little bit unique in a way because guys don't usually cross border. And I guess geographically, for you, you're about as far away from the British Columbia border as you can be growing up in Lethbridge. So how did you end up swinging between the two different leagues?
Well, it was funny actually. I knew that I really wanted to play in the BC from a young age, like maybe 17, 18 was what I knew. That's what I wanted to do. I affiliated for a couple years in the AJHL in Alberta, but always knew I wanted to go to the West Coast. So I had a really good opportunity in Salmon Arm, made really good connections with the GM there at the time and the coach. They had me over for 2 years, and then, plans didn't quite work out the way that we wanted them to, and we decided that it was time to, well, they decided it was time to make a move altogether. But yeah, I got traded over to a team in Alberta with a coach in Rick Swan in up by Edmonton, the Pontiacs. And it ended up being a really, really good fit for me. They wanted me and they put me in a leadership role. And honestly, I just thrived. I had a great year and then ended up getting looked at by Holy Cross. But yeah, not a lot of guys go from province to province when it comes to junior hockey. But I feel like I got the best of both worlds and trying out, different teams and different eras and living in different places. So I actually really enjoyed it. I'm happy with the way things worked
Mhm.
out.
Now, I'm not going to get you to comment on the politics because, from what I understand, there is some really interesting stuff going on between the BCHL and the AJHL at the minute. But what would you say? I mean, I get the impression the leagues are really similar in terms of everything from how they're structured, the ability level. What would you say the biggest differences were between the two?
Hmm. In my years from the BC to the AJ, I felt like the BC was a little bit more skilled and high pace, where the Alberta Junior Hockey League was a lot tougher.
Mhm.
And I don't know if that's changed now because I know there's, like you said, there's a bunch going on with the two leagues. But that's one thing that I noticed, and I think going from the BC to the AJ, I was definitely more fit for that. I'm a
Sure.
little bit of a bigger body, and I like to get into the dirty area, so it was more my kind of league, and I think that's why I thrived there. But yeah, if I had to say, maybe that would be the difference, something that I noticed at least in my time.
Yeah, fair enough. And I think just finally for me, I don't want to hold the limelight too much. I'll hand over to Stu again in a sec. But it looked like just, you look at your tape and you look at, your elite prospects and whatnot. And it certainly seems that, as you were saying earlier, you hit a growth spurt, you're growing physically. But I think you can see from, the 4 or 5 years that you were there between, the Salmon Arm and Bonneville particularly, that you were growing as a player as well. And with the NCAA route kind of imminent, that was quite a good trajectory for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it was awesome. I mean, I got thrown into the fire right away in Salmon Arms, so I got to experience everything, and it took me a little bit to get going, but my second year around, I got a little bit more comfortable with my position, and like I said, again, I was put into a leadership role right away, which was very cool learning experience for me. But yeah, just progressively found myself getting better and better and gaining a lot more confidence, and like once that ball gets rolling, it doesn't stop. So it was really cool, a way to finish my junior career with, having an awesome year in Bonnyville.
Go on, Stuart. I know you're a man of education, so I'll let you take the NCAA part of Grayson's career.
Yeah, we do love a little bit of higher education. You mentioned it a moment that Holy Cross looked at you while you were playing in juniors, and I mean geographically, like Lethbridge to British Columbia is a stretch, but Lethbridge to Worcester, Massachusetts is even more of a stretch. So how does Holy Cross end up recruiting someone from Western Canada?
Oh, geez. Yeah, honestly, I had to look them up on a map because I had no idea where they were at first. But yeah, it was, I think it would have been our third or fourth week of junior hockey in Alberta for me. We were at a showcase in Edmonton, and they were actually one of the first teams to reach out. I knew nothing about them, had, no prior information on them, until I found out that two of my dad's friends used to play for that team in the Sheehan brothers, which is like a cool little connection. But yeah, they, like I said, my mom's a principal. She did her research. She knew that their graduation rate was off the charts. Really good program. So she was more so thinking in that direction. And the hockey aspect was good too. They were on the lower end for sure when it comes to college hockey at the time. But um, yeah, no, it's crazy how it works, just from being pretty much across the country from Holy Cross to them, seeing me play once or twice and liking what they see, obviously, and giving me an offer that I really just couldn't refuse. So yeah.
And it's I mean, Holy Cross, I mean, it's a Div 1, NCAA Div 1 school, so you're playing at a top level of hockey. But they're, educationally, it's a strong school as well. They've got, great, like you say, great graduation rates. Their admissions rate is really low for an American school. So you must have had a really good experience of getting both the hockey and the educational side.
Yeah, for sure. The coaching staff and everybody in the athletic department actually did a really good job of making sure that we were able to handle the workload as well as, being a top performer in our sports. And they were awesome with our athletes. They gave us the extra time we needed. If we needed extra help, they would set us up with tutors, that kind of thing. And they were always just, looking to benefit us in any sort of way possible. So I really have nothing but good things to say about that school, especially with the course load that we were given with that liberal arts program.
Yeah. And your major was psychology, is that right?
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, that's not exactly the easiest of courses to choose. Why psychology? And I guess maybe talk a little bit as well about some of the other things that you sort of studied there, because major university in the States is a little bit different than it is over here.
Yeah, for sure. Well, first of all, Holy Cross is a liberal arts school, so they make sure that you take everything and try it out, which can be a good and a bad thing. I totally understand, but I had to take a psychology class. Everyone did, so that was actually the reason why I decided to become, a psychologist. Was I love the classes, but I mean, we had to take religion classes, we had to take math, science, art classes. Funny enough, I think I took 3 dance classes while I was there. I took a ballet, I took something else, and it was a really cool experience getting to, try a bunch of different things out. But psychology was definitely something that stuck with me. And, it's funny, you make connections with professors really easily. And I made a connection with a professor my first year, and he pumped the tires on psychology. So I stuck with it, and I'm actually really glad I did now.
Yeah, all good professors pump the tires of their own subjects, that's for sure. One of the things that is also sort of stark about sort of NCAA sort of sports is you get 4 years of eligibility normally. But because you played during COVID, you got 5. And that was when you went and made a transition and moved to Long Island. How did that move come about? Is it graduating at Holy Cross and just had the opportunity to go to a different school?
Yeah. So the thing about Holy Cross is they're only a 4-year program. They don't accept any more years for, like myself, athletes to come back and do a 5th year. There's no post-grad program, which is unfortunate because I know all the guys in my class would have gone back. We loved it there. It was awesome. But yeah, just being the way it is, and with the new effect of the college portal for athletes, we were able to go in, and lucky enough, I found an awesome spot in Long Island University. And I had previous teammates from the year before at Holy Cross that went there. And I just knew it would be a really good fit with what I'd heard from them and what I'd heard from the coaches. So that was the reason why I was able to go to Long Island, but also the reason why I didn't stay at Holy Cross.
And the transfer portal in NCAA is a pretty new thing.
Yes.
Did you just pop your name in the hat and then teams reach out? How does that work?
Yeah, that's honestly how it goes. It's really wild. Oh my goodness, there's probably 300 kids in it right now, I'm assuming. But yeah, we were lucky enough because we weren't allowed a 5th year at Holy Cross. We got to go into the portal around Christmas time. So we had about 3 more months more than the regular athlete would that was going to a different school. So, coaches were able to see us. They were allowed to reach out to our coaches without interfering us while we were playing at the time, which was really cool. So when the season ended, we had already heard from a few teams that reached out to our coaches, and then basically they're allowed to reach out to you once the season's over.
That makes a lot of sense. But when you you were playing for Long Island. You had a game against Holy Cross and scored a couple in that game. Was that a kind of mixed feelings? Because you've spoken so warmly about your time at Holy Cross. Did you get any conflict there?
Oh, it was so weird. It was our second game, I believe. Yeah, we played Penn State to open, and then the next Sunday that Sunday we went and drove to Holy Cross. It was an eerie feeling, I'm going to be honest with you. Walking into that rink and not going to the home locker room, going to the away locker room was way different. But yeah, I'm going to be honest, it felt really good scoring 2 against them. I can't deny that. But yeah, there was one point, I think it was actually my first shift. I went down and back a couple times, and I took 3 hard strides to the home bench thinking I was making a change, and realized I looked up and I was staring at purple jersey. So I was like, well, this isn't the right bench.
Yeah,
but no, all in all, it was awesome.
Yeah, you won't been the first or the last to get the penalty box or the benches wrong when you in your former barn. That's for sure. Ed,
I was going to say, I think that's almost a rite of passage to do that. The only other thing I was going to ask about the time is, and we were talking about earlier the differences between the BCHL and the Alberta Junior League, but within the NCAA circuit, you kind of have your divisions, right? That everybody gets used to. I think it was the AHA you were in Holy Cross, but then Long Island is a little bit different because it's an independent school, so you don't have a fixed division. Was it a little bit strange playing in the 2 different NCAA scenarios?
Yes, it definitely is, especially with being in Long Island. It's, you have to be a ranked team to make it to the tournament. I think it's like top 12. So at the start of the year, it's okay, look, there's no playoff. But if we can get in the top 12 for rankings, we can go to the Frozen Four. We can play in the tournament. So it's very different instead of, okay, I'm competing against 9 or 10 other teams that I know of that I play regularly, like Army, Air Force, or any of those teams that are in the AHA, to going to, okay, I need to beat Boston College, Penn State, Colorado College, because all these teams are already ranked. And that could potentially be the only way that we get into the Frozen Four of the tournament, so to say.
Yeah. And now, correct me if I'm wrong here. My geography, like I said, isn't so good. Long Island's East Coast-ish, right? And in the
Yes.
independents, you also have either Fairbanks or Anchorage. Did you have to do the cross-country travel to go play those guys up north as well?
Yeah, we actually did I think it was a week and a half, 2-week trip. We flew to Fairbanks on a Wednesday, played them Saturday, Sunday, flew directly from there to Anchorage, I believe. I might have that backwards, and then spent the next week there and played those guys next. So it was a long 2 weeks, but it was pretty cool.
I think you'll find this out in a few months, but I think that kind of thing is inadvertently pretty good preparation for pro hockey and pretty good preparation for life in the elite league. And that brings us on to the next part of your career. Rather than having to fly west to play in good old Anchorage, you're flying east over the pond and landing in Coventry. Which I think, for a guy of your skill set, obviously you've got a big frame, you move well. I think you'd have been forgiven for trying to test the waters of cracking the American League and playing in the coast. So why go the other way? Why go to the elite league? And of course, why Coventry?
Right. Well, a lot of the teams that you play for in the States, college hockey, once you finish, most of the guys will go play in the coast. That's kind of a normal thing. But, I had heard a bunch of different stories, and I don't want to get into politics, but, some guys love it, some guys don't. You're going to get both ways. But from what I gathered of it, that wasn't a place that I wanted to play. I definitely wanted to play overseas. And, actually, I'm not sure if you guys know who Ryan Finnerty is, but he is the GM of Manchester. Yeah, he grew up in Lethbridge, and actually he was fairly close with my family growing up. So I always knew about, his team and the Storm, and I kind of fancied that. So I always knew I wanted to come over here and play for sure. And I also have a ton of family in Scotland. So it kind of works out hand in hand that I'm going to, experience something new and also be somewhat close to family. So I'm sure they'll come up to a bunch of games in Scotland, but yeah, so that's kind of what brought me over here. And I know my parents love to travel, so
that's awesome.
It'll be fun experience for them too.
Unfortunately, though, you've led yourself into another question, because if you've got links to Manchester and you've got links to Scotland, I mean, what, there's three teams up north of the border. How did you land in Coventry? Why the Blaze?
Yeah, actually, so Kevin used to be with Indiana in the East Coast, and he had reached out to me after my senior year at Holy Cross. And I had to tell him, look, I love the opportunity, but I'm planning on playing a fifth year at LIU. And he said, perfect, no worries. We'll keep in touch. And he's actually super close with one of my assistant coaches that was at Holy Cross. So once I heard that he got the job over here, he reached out to me right away since we had that prior connection. And, he just, everything that he spoke about was exactly how I felt about, being a hockey player and the way he wants to run the team with, you know, this culture that's already been built here, but adding different pieces to it. Just, it was right up my alley. And, him and I have a really good connection. We clicked instantly. So I knew that, Coventry's the place for me. So can't say no.
Yeah, no, it's funny because we were talking, just as he announced you, and so tell us about Grayson, and he was saying, oh yeah, this is a guy I've been keeping an eye on for a while now, and I was kind of thinking, well, hang on a sec, he's fresh out of college, you've had a couple of years pro, and then you're at Princeton as the director of hockey. I was, man, you really must have been keeping your eye on him for a while. So, and it's good to know that he wasn't kidding, and I think we all probably feel the same way. The conversations I've had with Kevin have just been unbelievable, and it must be really positive, really reassuring that you're going to play for a guy that is so aligned with how you feel about the game and how you feel about life also.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, it makes the transition, especially for me, like moving overseas, just so much easier and so much more comfortable. It was a no-brainer after him and I had that conversation about, even just Coventry itself and what the fans bring and everything about the hockey was just seemed awesome. So I mean, I'm super excited.
No, we're really excited. There's certainly a buzz around. Yeah, I think I think I've been muted by Stu a few times for the amount of stuff I've been sending his way on WhatsApp, which is fine. But presumably as well, first year pro, first year playing in the elite league, you'll naturally done your research. So what of Ryan Finity? What of Kevin Moore? What of the other guys that who have played over here said about the life in the EIHL?
Yeah, I mean, they've had nothing but good things to say. It's funny. I've got a couple of friends that I work with here, and their dads used to play in this
Okay.
league a long time ago. So I mean, yeah, I there was nothing bad that's ever been said about the EI, and I think that's super awesome. And having conversations with Kevin and my game, and we believe that I'm going to be a really good fit, as well as I think professional hockey is more my style, which I'm excited to, get into that as well. So I'm so pumped. This is gonna be awesome.
Yeah, it is absolutely going to be awesome. I'm really not just saying this because I'm on Blaze TV as a member of the Blaze organization. We're all really pumped. Seriously. And, we've talked a little bit about you as a person, a little bit about your career so far, but just give the fans a little bit of a taste of what your game's all about. Because, and correct me if I'm wrong here, and I watch a lot of tape because I like to watch hockey in my spare time, funnily enough. And the one thing I noticed was, and it clicks with you talking about your growth spurt. You're a bigger guy that at times, with your speed, your ability to get in behind the line, reminds me of a guy, 5'10", not 6'2", 6'3". So tell us a little bit about your game. How would you describe how you play?
Yeah, I would say I'm a 200-foot power forward. Good in the D zone, good in the offensive zone. I'm not afraid to get in those dirty areas. I like to be in front of the net. I like to be in the corners. But yeah, I think that's where, maybe I can surprise a lot of D-men, is that I am fairly agile and quick. So I tend to be able to burn a lot of my D-men wide and beat them to the net just with my size and my ability. So that's one thing that I'm going to bring to the team is size, speed, and just overall awareness on the ice.
Yeah, and Blaze fans, you'll come to love that physicality, and it's not just for you throwing the body, but the one thing I notice you do really well is shield the puck. When you're carrying in possession, shielding defensemen away from it. You've got a knack for that. Is that something that you think you developed, or is just something that came naturally as you filled out your frame?
Yeah, I would say a little bit of both. I spent my first 2 years in Salmon Arm actually working on that quite a bit. Was just puck protection, and I find myself, I am a lot better with the puck on my stick, so why not keep it there?
Yep.
So yeah, did a lot of work on that. A lot of work on just getting to the net, to be completely honest with you. But also on the defensive side is, really being reliable, being able to be put in those, last minute situations or big penalty kill minutes. I also, think I really thrive on that too.
Yeah, and the other thing as well that really shone from the CV is how often you've had the C on your chest. I think it's three different teams, including your senior year at Holy Cross. You wore the captain's badge, and leaders come in different shapes and sizes, don't they? You don't have to wear a letter to be a leader in a room, but I think there's that level of maturity, that level of dependability that I guess you would say you naturally will have in your game, having had those experiences as a leader.
Yeah, I've had some incredible leaders growing up, from being a young kid to playing junior hockey and playing college hockey. I've had some incredible role models that I've been able to look up to, and I feel like I can take parts from what I've learned from them and really add it to, the man and the leader that I've become. But yeah, a lot of the time it's just me being me. I don't know if that changes anything, but you know, um, I like to think a lot of the guys look up to the way that I play, and I give everything all of the time, whether that's on the ice, off the ice, in the gym, in the community. Yeah, that's how I would put that. But yeah, I've had a lot of really good role models that I've been able to look up to and learn from. So yeah, I'm very grateful for that.
Good stuff. Stu, I'm aware that I've taken a lot of airtime here, but have you got anything else you want to throw to Grayson while we've got his time?
Only really to say that then how you described your game is a 200-foot, 6'2" power forward. Spent a lot of time in and around the Blaze fan base over a number of years. That's going to resonate very well with fans here in Coventry. That sort of style of play, that game is going to sit really nicely here in Coventry, and I think you're going to have a lot of fans over the coming few months. So really excited to see how that comes together and develops in this coming season.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to show everybody what I've got. It's gonna be a blast.
Now, I've got to ask you a couple of other things, Grayson, just before we wrap up on here. Now, Stu and I have been around, like he says, he's been around a little bit longer than me, but I think I'm moving into year 14. So our combined years are pretty heavy here. When you say some of your friends' dads played over in the Elite League, have you got any names that you can drop and we can see if we remember them? Or I put you on the spot too much?
Corey Lyons played a while ago. Jason Ruff was
Oh, yeah.
where did Jason play?
Might have been Belfast, if I remember right.
He was in Belfast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I played with his sons growing up, and same with Corey Lyons. I have really good connections with them. But yeah, they told me I was in for an awesome experience.
How much do you play like Jason Ruff? Because he was a tough old fella.
Yeah. I was gonna say I don't know if I've seen him play from maybe some old tapes when he was in the Western League, because he definitely lit it up when he was in Lethbridge. But yeah,
Hockey's a small world. And so
big time.
aside from painting the road, skating, working out, and all the stuff that you'd probably expect a hockey player to do, how else are you spending your summer before you head on over? Because you got quite a lot of it to go. You got this done and dusted real early.
um, I'd say I'm trying to spend as much time with family as I can. I know a lot of us can understand how that works with hockey and being away, being gone for so long. So trying to do that. Also enjoy swinging the clubs a little bit on the golf course. Ed, you and I have talked about that for sure.
Yep.
But yeah, it's pretty steady being home. I really like it. I enjoy it, enjoying what I'm doing. It's still giving me time to train, like you said, and the optional round here and there. So I can't complain.
Good stuff. This has been awesome, Grayson. I really appreciate this. Stu, any final thoughts?
None from me. No.
I know I caught you on mute there, but to the 2020 once it's a Zoom call trick back. But no, Grayson, this is awesome. Thank you so much for spending some time here on Blaze TV, and looking forward to having you over in a few months.
Yeah, thank you, gentlemen. Excited to be part of the Blaze.
And guys, thank you so much for joining us again on Blaze TV. We'll see you soon with another episode, just as and when we can hit the record button. Bye for now.